A Dwarven Cleric BBEG spy becomes a living sword. Hi everyone, All Things D&D is back with another story. What happens when a player is actually working for the bad guy the whole time? Well, find out after listening to this story, and tell us about the time you were actually up to no good. I'm a proud DM of a group of 4 players. We started playing in February 2019 at work. We were all colleagues back in the day, spending our 1-hour lunch breaks in my fantasy realm. In this campaign, one of my players came up with an interesting backstory for his Dwarven Forge cleric named Garum. He has been unwillingly recruited into the spy network of the BBEG, and for the better part of 10 years, he has served the Black Seeker, the BBEG, as a spy in search of 6 ancient artifacts. He doesn't want the job, but as his parents are taken hostage by the BBEG, he feels like he has no other choice. He does some awful, regrettable things as a spy for the Black Seeker before he encounters the other 3 players, a Wood Elf Druid, a Forest Gnome Ranger, and an Air-Genasi monk in an Underdark prison. In the in-game month that followed, the group broke free from the prison during a riot, traveled through the Underdark, and escaped to the Overworld. During their travels in the Underdark, Garum finds a sentient magic sword by the name of Dawnbringer. She's a neutral good sword though, and as such refuses to grant him her magic powers until he stops working for the BBEG. This is important for what comes next. The group eventually ends up in a keep, which they clear before finding a secret door to the dungeon below. The secret door was locked, but there were 3 keyholes. They already found 2 keys so far. It's important to note that Garum was coming to the point of confessing his double agent role. This group had become a second family to him, and the guilt had been weighing on him. They'd saved his life a number of times. They'd shared laughs, triumphs, and misfortunes. He'd tell them the following day. He just needed one more night to think of a way how. But Garum is a curious fellow and decides to try out the keys and peek through the next keyhole. He saw more than he wanted. Someone else was staring back. A doppelganger had been locked in there by a wizard, but now he had a chance to get out. The doppelganger had a scroll of relocate and switch places with Garum. After an intense one-on-one briefing, Garum's player played as the doppelganger. It took a while for the party to find out their friend had been replaced by the doppelganger, but because the player did such a great job role-playing the doppelganger, we decided that the doppelganger would join the group and help them retrieve the real Garum. Seriously, he did a terrific job, but his own character would die because of it. Doppelganger Garum sprang a trap, and while they were exploring a magic dungeon inhabited by a minotaur, the doppelganger had no problem with this, as he just turned into a minotaur as well when encountering him. But the real Garum was less fortunate, but his sentient sword Dawnbringer came through. She granted him all her powers, knowing he'd tell his friends and try to end his BBEG connection. But alas, after some running and fighting in the labyrinth, he met his end by the Minotaur's axe, cleaving through his chest. A nat 20 on my end. The party was too late to save him. By the time they found out where he was, they only found his corpse. We started the next session with the party thinking what they'd do to his body. They'd wait out the night and bury him in the morning. And then I started talking to the player of the cleric spy. He felt his consciousness being torn between 2 worlds. His body was starting to reform in the material world. The BBEG had bound his soul to his will, refusing him to release him of his duty to serve him. The process was terribly painful. Meanwhile, his soul started trekking through the afterlife. We were playing with a homebrewish Greek pantheon. Garum arrived on the bank of the river Styx, but he wasn't alone. A dwarven female was standing next to him, his sword, who goes by the name of Kilia. They started talking, while Charon collects them and takes them to Cerberus, the 3-headed dog guarding the gates leading up to the 3 judges, who will decide if he'll go to hell or heaven. Garum tells Kilia his whole story, and they finally are getting along. She starts feeling sorry for him, just another innocent soul corrupted by the Black Seeker. But then things get weird. Cerberus doesn't let him pass because he's not dead yet. His body is reforming in the material world. He can't pass, he's doomed to become a monster. But the fates work in his favor. As it is, the material world is preparing for the spring festival, and Persephone is traveling to the surface world. It is known she spends spring and summer there. During autumn and winter, she stays with her husband Hades in hell. Persephone spots Garum, and after talking to him and his sword, she offers him a choice. She could sever his bond with the Black Seeker, but that would mean he'd die. The player is considering and objects, saying, "I don't think I can. My mother and father are his prisoners. If I die, they die." Persephone kneels in front of him and informs him that for 10 years, his parents have been here in her realm. The Black Seeker had lied to him. Garum is heartbroken. He had been living a lie for 10 pain-filled years. With a heavy heart, he accepts Persephone's offer. She travels on, as does he, toward the 3 judges. Before he heads in, Kilia asks him what he'd do if he ever got a second chance. "I could try to live life in the service of others, try to do some good in the world, find those artifacts, keep them out of his hands. I'd tell my friends how sorry I am. I hope we can see each other someday again." She nodded slowly and said, "I believe you. I'd like that too." The door to the judge's chambers swung open. Killia flashed Garoom a sad smile and walked into the judge's chambers. Garoom could hear the judges ask Killia, "What is your name?" Killia turned to Garoom and said, "Garoom." All the players started yelling and talking before I continued speaking for the judges, saying, "Garoom Sandgrain, for the crimes you have committed against innocent people in the name of the Black Seeker and all that is inherently evil, we damn you to the 5th layer of hell, Stygia. For the pride you carry, because you thought you could get away by supporting evil, you will burn for the rest of your life between and around the icy mountains." A pillar of fire engulfed Killia. The light forced Garoom to cover his eyes, and as the heat and flames dissipated, Killia was nowhere to be seen. The judges remained silent for a while, and then say, "Killia, despite your failure to lead Garoom on the right path, your services are still required. Of course, you take back your role in society and serve the first person who wields you. In accomplishing your destiny, you will be granted eternal fame and peace." I start describing two things. First, the party sees a glow coming from the chamber they stored the body of Garoom in. They go and look, and his sword is shining brightly. Then I turn to the cleric. You can feel yourself pulling away from the judge's chambers. You are weightless, traveling through the pitch darkness at blinding speeds. Your ascent begins to slow. Light hurts your eyes as they try to adjust to a brightly lit chamber. Your party members are standing around you. You are overwhelmed with emotions, happiness, surprise, delight. And then I describe his lifeless body lying next to him. A hand reaches out for you and picks you up effortlessly. Your friend the monk is holding you aloft. He is holding Dawnbringer. Alright, I've never had a player become a sword in a game. Does the player get to play as doppelganger Garoom now, or the sword? Have you ever done this? Because we all need more stories like this one. Please let us know what you think and comment below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel All Things D&D. Our next video will be posted in 3 days, so stay tuned for more amazing Dungeons & Dragons content.